Morning, everyone, and welcome to our Heavenly Parent Holy Community, Oceania Hundoke. And today we are together with Reverend Tim and Margaret Sisserson, today being Sunday, the 14th of November, or the 10th of October in the 9th year of Chongyal Guk. Let's begin by offering a bow to our Heavenly Parents and True Parents. Chariot, Kyombe, Kado. And let's recite our family pledge, both in Korean and English. Thank you.
가전맨세 4. 천일국 주인 우리 가족은 참사랑을 중심하고 하늘 부모님의 찬조 이사인 천주 대가족을 형성하여 자유와 평화와 통일과 행복의 세계를 완성할 것을 맹세하나이다.
Family pledge number 4. Our family, the owner of Chongyal Guk, pledges to build a universal family encompassing heaven and earth, which is the Heavenly Parent's ideal of creation, and perfect the world of freedom, peace, unity, and happiness by centering on true love. And I'd like to ask Chris if you could offer the opening prayer, please.
Let's pray, everyone. Good morning, Heavenly Parent and True Parents. As we go through these times, we know that you are really based on truth and reality, and the only moment we really have is now. There's past is gone and the future could change. So what we do today is really our main concern, how we connect to you, and we know that you're moving in so many areas beyond just our own movement. Our True Mother is making tremendous ground to achieve world peace, to achieve the goals that True Parents have had all this time that we have had. I know that she's told us that if we live a little bit longer, we will see those things come to pass. So we're so grateful for that. And we want to be grateful, Father, that you have won this battle. Even though things seem chaotic, you are showing the world the reality of a fallen world. And we have to now do something about that. Really, Father, I hope we can remind ourselves every day that you are leading this battle, that you are driving the enemy into a corner so that all will be revealed. So we're so grateful for that. Grateful for everything that our True Mother's doing. Once again, please give some of our vital energy we use for our prayers to her. We know that she will not save any of that physical energy for herself, but we still pray she can remain healthy and that all the goals can be fulfilled, and that we also, Father, can really become much more active in what we're doing, regroup ourselves, and as True Father says, renew our spirit every day on the things that we have not achieved, and begin again each day a new day. Thank you now in the name of Chris and Debbie Bruce, Santos family. Adieu.
Adieu. Thank you, everyone. And let's give a warm welcome to Tim and Margaret as they share this morning. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, slight technical difficulties. Which one do you want to share now? Choose the one you want to share. Oh, the PowerPoint. Oh, okay. There it is here. There we go. Oh, okay. Thank you.
You can sit here and do it.
Well, I don't have my text there. So.
Okay.
So you can start with the text, please.
So, good morning, everyone. I will do the reading first, and then Tim will share. So, this is a True Father's words from November 25, 1979 in Los Angeles. I wish to proclaim that human beings have value from their very origin. They are creations of God. They are created to lead life with a definite value perspective in accordance with the purpose of creation. In spite of originally being creatures of vast value, people have disregarded the value perspective and, believing in the omnipotence of science, taken it as a panacea. Consequently, technology has become a source of increasing damage. For human beings, science can only be a means. It cannot be an end. The purpose of human life is to realize God's purpose of creation. Each person is a unified being of both physical and spiritual entities. Hence, on the foundation of physical life, we are to lead a life of value, a life of love, truth, goodness, and beauty. Science and technology are needed for the sake of allowing physical life to become a proper basis for spiritual life. Okay. Now I will defer to Tim to give his reflection.
So stop sharing your screen, sweetheart.
How do I?
Click there, stop sharing.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone. It is beautiful to see you all. And I thank you, John, for the opportunity to share today. So I'll sort of be reading from my reflections, but I'll try to stay in contact with all of you. So I grew up in Tuxedo Park, New York. It's a small town about an hour, about 40 miles from New York City. I was blessed to have grandparents living next door. They really were a great refuge and comfort to me in times when things at home were stressful. And my grandmother loved to garden, and my grandfather liked to go on walks, and I recall going on hikes with him and picking blueberries and many other things. So that was a beautiful, idyllic existence in my young years there in upstate New York. When I was about 11 years old, I first saw news reports about and videos of civil rights marches in the southern US, Alabama, I believe Montgomery, and other places. And sometimes the video especially was showing altercations, the police actually being very hostile and unleashing the police dogs. People were I saw one instance of a dog running up behind a person and biting his backside, and then other instances where they were turning fire hoses on the marchers who were, as most all of you know, were marching to be given their right to vote and their right to go to any a restaurant or any other venue where people commonly went. So those obviously were very disturbing, and I began to see that there were a lot of problems that needed to be resolved. Of course, I couldn't understand it. Also, I had a few experiences with sort of bully boys in my early school times. And so I was sort of disillusioned with my experience with school. So by the time I reached 17, my parents came up with a plan. They thought if I joined the Coast Guard, I could get some discipline and learn a trade. And my father had been in the Coast Guard during World War II, and he had had those experiences. It was a good experience for him. Of course, the environment or the atmosphere was quite different from his time in the 40s, which was a wartime, and my time in, let's say, 1970, 69, 70, 71. And so the esprit de corps, which they had in the military at that time, at my father's time, was a little less prominent. And I had some run-ins with some, I would use the term rednecks. I'm not sure if redneck translates into Australian English as with the same meaning as in the US, but basically kind of small-minded people in the military. And important lesson which I later learned was that in the military and in many other areas, the best bet is to keep your mouth shut and do as you're told. This, unfortunately, I was a kind of slow learner when it came to that. So my that experience of the Coast Guard was not all that we had hoped it would be. So so few years later, after I got out of the Coast Guard and spent time with friends, and I decided to hitchhike out to California, seeking my some new horizons and potential for a new, a career. Actually, my ideal in those days was to build myself a cabin up in the forest, in the mountains, and to be away from from the masses of society. But as it turned out, I was in a place called Santa Monica at the beach. There's a pier there in California. And I met a young lady named Mary Slattery, who was a member of the International One World Crusade under Reverend Paul Werner. Some of you may remember Reverend Werner. As I came back to the center one day after I was finishing up some temporary job I had there in California. He extended his bare paw-like hand, a huge hand he had, and shook my hand and said, "Well, how do you like our little family here?" And so I said, well, I think I like this this family here. And so within a few days, with some very limited study of divine principle, I heard one lecture, which was a Parallels of History lecture, which did sort of click, as I would say. I had an inkling that, yes, clearly something is moving history. And so the truth of it resonated, let's say. So I joined, and within a few days, I was on the German team, which was a mobile fundraising team, which traveled all around through the States, and we collected money for buying the Camberg Training Center in Germany and various other needs that Reverend Werner and his staff had allocated those things for. So we just had, we were a team of, I guess, about 10 people. We had some vans and a couple of travel trailers, small ones, like 20 some feet. And we had one trailer for the sisters and one trailer for the brothers, and another truck that had our product inside. And so we traveled around on that team. I didn't actually have a workshop, a full workshop, until a couple of years later in January of 1977. But I felt intuitively that this was where God had led me and what I understood of the principle. I believe that true parents were the real deal and they needed us. So this was the beginning of my rebirth and transformation experience. The next major incident I can recall was the Day of Hope banquet in San Francisco in December of 1974. My mission at that for that banquet was to sit at a large round table with some VIPs. Naturally, the Day of Hope banquets were for VIPs in the city. And I was sitting with a hotel owner and an opera singer and a former mayor and all of these kinds of people far above my station, as I understood it at that time. But fortunately, I was facing the main table, the dais where Father was seated. And as I looked over in my nervousness, looked over at Father, Father was just giving this very quiet and reassuring smile. And, so I was comforted by Father's, calm presence there. And of course, most of these people knew one another and they were busy engaged in their own conversations anyway. So I just basically had to just smile and, so as the banquet was going on, I became aware of this sound like the tinkling of crystals, like chandeliers moving with a breeze. And so the people in the banquet began to turn their attention toward the stage, and silence fell over the room, with one female voice, a young lady's voice, singing, "Gathering ships in darkness, freedom's gonna rise up from the grave. There's a lighthouse and it's in the near distance, and all will be saved in the light." Her name was Donna Hilton, and I was spellbound, as I think some others were as well. So one thought emerged in my mind at that time: this is really the dawning of the kingdom of heaven. It just was a feeling that enveloped me. And as that song finished, the stage lights went down again, and the sound of that Korean horn, I believe it is called Taepyeongso, is very, piercing kind of sound, began, and the Korean folk ballet sisters kind of silently glided across the stage and began the fan dance with the gong and that whole thing. So incredible. So that for me was really a profound experience of the revealing of the heavenly culture. And my other major experience had been fundraising up to that point. So this was really a special moment to my first encounter with True Father at that time. So fast forward a few years, I was invited to audition for the New Hope Singers I was still on MFT, or I went to an IOWC and did a little bit of witnessing, but they discovered, the team leaders, or Reverend Vincenz actually discovered that I was a better fundraiser than I was a witnesser. So I was back on MFT. And so then I was invited in 1978 to audition for New Hope Singers. I had first heard them at that Day of Hope banquet in 1974 and thought, oh, I would like to be involved in this kind of performing arts. So clearly Heavenly Parent had heard my internal desire, and he gave me the opportunity to join the performing arts. Well, as it turned out, New Hope Singers and the other performing arts groups spent most of our time fundraising and witnessing, and with short, intense rehearsals for the holidays and other special events where we would sing. So one particularly memorable event when we were to sing a new Korean song, or one at least we were not overly familiar with, for True Parents. I believe the song was Chukka, which is congratulations to our True Parents. This may have been around 1980, around Father's 60th birthday. Well, since we were not able to fully memorize all of the words of the song, we made a little cheat sheet, a little paper with the lyrics on it, and we pinned them to the back of the sisters' dresses. So all of us brothers standing in the second row could read the words of the song. We had, of course, been coached previously that if you forget the words at any time and you just smile and move your mouth and and just keep smiling and projecting that excitement to the audience, your brothers and sisters. And really that was a key part of our training, was that you are here for the sake of, in your purpose as a New Hope singer is to uplift the spirit, to prepare the way for the word of God to be received. So this was very helpful guidance for us that helped us not to focus too much on any difficulties, but to really just be there and project joy, the joy of serving true parents. And that was a very valuable training. So we, of course, reminded the sisters at the conclusion, don't bow too low, because we don't want people to see that paper on your back. So that was a very interesting and memorable experience. One of course, the most precious aspects of being in the performing arts and being on the stage was when true parents came up after the celebration performances, and true parents would sing, and we were very close to true parents, and we could see their interaction in very close proximity and really feel the atmosphere of true parents' love. So that those are very precious memories, truly unforgettable. Well, now going back as a child, I had received, or our family had received, many National Geographic magazines. They were full of articles and photographs of people in faraway places, and very interesting and beautiful photographs. And I was very fond of looking through those, poring over those magazines, and especially I was intrigued with the islands and island life. So actually, just prior to joining New Hope Singers, our MFT commander sent me and another brother to Hawaii. So while there in Hawaii fundraising, I had the opportunity to see a number of cross-cultural families. And I was really struck by the beauty, particularly of the children who came from those interracial and cross-cultural marriages. So I took a mental note. This might be something that would suit me in the future. And as it turned out, 1 year later, the matching in 1979 in the New Yorker Hotel ballroom, Father introduced me to the young lady named Margaret Poloy, who was from Palau. And I had never heard of Micronesia, but I gradually connected the dots and realized that Heavenly Parent had truly been setting the things up. And this was, I can say, literally a match made in heaven. So, so one of the funny things that happened soon after that was New Hope Singers boarded our bus to Los Angeles for the science conference in Los Angeles, the 8th ICUS conference. And we went to LA, and backstage, as Father was giving his opening remarks, we heard Father say, thanking the participants for coming. And they, probably had noticed the protesters out in the front proclaiming that Reverend Moon was a brainwasher, and warning the scientists that Reverend Moon might brainwash them. But Father said, actually, I was so afraid you great scholars might brainwash me. And of course, we were backstage and enjoying that. And then Father said, as you can see, at least I don't have horns and a tail. And then, as you can see, I'm just an ordinary man, not too tall and not too handsome, although my wife thinks I am. So that was another of those events with Father. So as we see in the previous reading, Father is always, and God is always trying to lead us to realize the highest value for our lives. And one of the most profound experience I had with Father was confirmed that to me was at East Garden. And this was on July 20th, 1984, as Father was preparing to go to Danbury Prison that day. Margaret and I were in the 120-day missionary training, and we were there. And and I'm sure many others, were sort of downhearted that we knew that Father was going to be going to Danbury Prison that day. But Father was busy uplifting us and encouraging us and saying that based on this indemnity of him entering Danbury Prison, that the next great breakthrough would come out, and that this would advance God's providence. He was telling us how proud he was of us. In that moment, I found that very, I couldn't believe he was talking to me. And I sort of, looked down and looked away from Father, but Father paused. And as I looked up, Father was looking directly at me. Father was just maybe 2-3 meters away from me. And Father was looking directly at me, and he said, "I'm proud of you." And even the third time, Father said, "I'm proud of you." And so I've also heard many others share things of similar nature, of how Father really knows us, and Father is always encouraging us to not be discouraged by anything, but to keep on and believe in ourselves as God's sons and daughters. So obviously many things have developed to a very high level since that time, since those days. True Mother has really risen to the challenge and addressing the world in ways, surprising ways for me. I was quite surprised to hear Mother proclaim herself as the only begotten daughter. And I wondered, how is that going to go over? But because of who Mother is and Mother's grace and obviously Mother's tremendous investment of heart and prayer, then she wins hearts. And Mother moves people from the basic level to up to the highest. The heads of state are won by Mother. So we truly are in a blessed time. Now, Father has empowered us as Blessed Central families to be tribal messiahs. And I see this myself as a continuation of the home church providence in a way. So he also said that our tribe, the tribe that we win before we go into the heavenly kingdom, the spiritual world, will be our great treasure and inheritance. All of those people whose hearts we are able to move by our love and service will be our treasure before Heavenly Parent and true parents. So Margaret and I are in an environment of a small nation. Many of the people that we encounter on a daily basis are connected through family or clan. So for us, it's not difficult to see our tribal Messiah role and to apply that to the national restoration of Palau. But I truly feel blessed. Father's word is always touching and moving my heart. And Father's, Heavenly Parent's presence is so often revealed in surprising events that take place. And we may go to a restaurant for breakfast of a morning and encounter some of our ambassadors for peace and be able to talk about some of our plans. And we realized, in hindsight that, wow, God set that up. We make ourselves available for God every day through our prayer and Jongsung, and God works with that. So I'm preaching to the choir. I apologize for that. But we feel really the blessedness of this time, and we have great hope that we as brothers and sisters in our Oceania community here and the broader movement can really be there for one another. So I'd like to conclude with that. Thank you so much. God bless everybody.
Thank you very much, Tim. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for giving us a little insight into your life and New Hope Singers, and giving us a little bit of a song We don't mind hearing your voice again. That's fine. And I was touched by how, you, as many of us, it's so precious to have that personal experience with true parents, to really, when they catch your eye and they just look straight into your soul and heart, and then you feel the joy and elation build up. And I could share with you, when you were saying that I'm proud of you. That Father was saying, I'm proud of you. I was sort of connecting to that and feeling like, yes, he's saying it to you, but he's saying it to all of us. And you were representing all of us at that moment. I liked how, for you, just some part of the parallel history, that word you said, it clicked. There's always something that we don't know that touches and clicks and stimulates. And we don't know what, when we talk to others, what is that thing that's going to really click. And then, you mentioned about Mother and how she's meeting people and she's got total investment and heart and prayer, and people are just moved by that. And you mentioned about prayer and Chongsong, and what is the unique thing that we do prayer and Chongsong, but when Mother or Father come into the room, the whole room changes, the whole atmosphere changes, because they are unchanging, they are constant. And I was thinking, what is, and we all know the same, the thing that stops us from having that same presence as we move into the room is that, unfortunately, we give way to our own personal selfishness that undermines the prayer and the heart and the Chongsong. So if we challenge ourselves continually, then we can get to the point of being constant. And so when we walk into the room, people think, wow, someone special. So like when you sat at the table with all the VIPs, maybe they were thinking, wow, there's someone special just sat down. I wonder who this Tim is. But they're too busy to talking with themselves. No, it's a great thing to be able to give joy and to serve others, that and that projection is really the way for God to work in us, so that we can truly feel and share together that the whole truth is really about love and that we are one family. So thanks, Tim. Thanks for sharing, and others, if there's anyone else, or I'm sure there are many who would like to make a comment, go ahead. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Wright, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Tim, and the wonderful testimony. It's a great grandparents and journey to California and met in Eugene International Crusade team, and big hand of Porsche, Warner, and it's New York singers. And thank you for beautiful sing. Really appreciate, and also really wonderful memories to Father. And, I just remember when Jesus said to Peter, I love you, I love you, love you. But the Father said to you, and love you 3 times in respect you, and it is
Proud of you.
proud of you. And the wife said, "Oh, you have to say to your son, you know, one day, I respect you,
Proud of you.
proud of you, proud of you." I think really true, and really, you know, really wonderful. So, testimony is moved us. Great, and also thank you, Margaret. It's such a life for Japan. Anyway, and could give us a lot of love and a lot of respect and warm feeling, and really thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Doug, go ahead, and then after Doug, Tim. Yeah.
Hi, Tim. I really enjoyed your testimony a lot, to learn so much more about you. Starting from Tuxedo, I went to those mountains for 5 days and had a prayer experience. But Tim, do you have any special stories and experiences about your time? You spent so many years on stage in the Manhattan Center, about your time with True Family, or people, anything special stories from that time?
Yeah. Well, a particular experience I had with True Family was in Kodiak, Alaska, where I felt, rather than the joy that most of us receive when we were in True Parents' presence, I felt the pain of True Children, because True Parents have been spending so much of their time with us, and the children just have to wait and wait until True Parents could make some time for them. So I had a brief encounter with one of the True Children, and that came out, not directly, but in some of his statements about our members and how we take True Parents for granted. So I'd like to share with you some more at another time, but suffice to say, that was something that I take with me, and I try to be prayerful about True Family and the challenging lives that they have led, being the children of these very public figures. And I pray that the True Family can truly come together and support True Mother. We don't know how long we have True Mother with us. So anyway, that's a component of my prayer very often. Thanks, Paul. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jim. Wonderful. We never met, and for me, it's great to. I think in each couple, each of the blessed couples, there's a public face of the couple, and then there's the quiet one behind, or the one who says less and we don't really know. And so in your sharing, you know, in the future, I really want to hear from the people behind the people who are more public, because they're so integral to the success of each other and the unity that happens. So yeah, so it was great to hear from you, and I've had a similar experience with Father speaking directly to me, but I know that he was speaking, as John said, to everyone. You become the representative in that moment where Father focuses. And So yeah, it was really great to hear from you, and I look forward to getting to know you better in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And last person, Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, anyway, thank you so much, Tim. It's very important, yeah, I think for our collective community to hear your voice. Margaret is always pretty outspoken. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, so just to hear your amazing story of such an early member that met two parents before many of us, you know, in the Pacific. I think Margaret was probably the first Pacific sister to join our movement, probably, which is very significant. And especially the Palau being the first nation in the Pacific to become a Chunuguk nation. And I think your unique nature has been so importantly integral part of, you know, being able to be blessed to Margaret, her very important responsibility in this matriarchal nation of Palau, and connecting with the First Lady Debbie. All these things are some incredibly, what can I say, plan of God's, you know, with each one of us, with our unique ancestral background, to be able to be the people that God has put in place today to quickly usher in this transformation of our world to be the kingdom of God. So anyway, thank you so much, Tim, for your incredible faith and quietness, you know, and supporting this providence in Oceania, especially for coming back to Palau, because I know it's not easy for Tim to be in Palau because it's a very, very, very hot place. And I always think of Tim because he has this incredible issue with his skin. And it's not easy for him to be there, you know. So the incredible sacrifice for Tim to leave a very developed nation in many ways and come to Palau. Anyway, thank you so much, Tim. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So it's that time now for us to offer our unison prayer. So just give me a moment and I will share the screen and we can pray together. Adieu, adieu, adieu. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day, and see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Tim and Margaret. Today.
Thank you, Mark and Tim. And Margaret.
All right.